Good morning, everybody. Bright and early. Had to get up here because I'm not trying to spend all of my Sunday at the shop. I want to go home and enjoy the rest of my day before I go back to work for the week. But yesterday or last video, if that's where I decided to cut it, we finished looming the harness and getting the majority of like the sensors and the fuel injectors and everything wired in, or at least ran. They're not quite pinned into the ECU yet. We still have just a jumble of wires through here, but that is our mission for today. So we busted out the laptop. We have the pin out for the ECU and everything. We just have to kind of pin everything in. I'll show you guys a couple of them, but since this is again one of those rinse and repeat things that takes just a while of doing the same thing, I'll show you guys a couple of them and then we'll just speed through it. But you probably noticed I didn't have ignition coils, but I was kind of debating whether or not I wanted to use the factory igniter with the factory coils that would sit right here. So I picked myself up some of these. These are AEM smart coils. There's your part number if anyone's interested. They've been sitting on a shelf for a bit, so I've actually had these for a while. This was what I was planning on doing once I went standalone. So now that we're going standalone, we're going to switch up our ignition coil setup a little bit. I'm kind of playing around with some different ideas to mount these things since they are fairly large, and I'd like to keep the coil wires short, so I think these are just going to kind of mount along, like one right here, and then I'll do two sitting on top of each other right here. I have a picture on my Instagram if you want to see. I kind of did a little mock-up. It seems to work pretty well. I don't really care how it looks, to be 100% honest with you, just that it works. And this way will be pretty easy because this doesn't have a resistor associated with it, but we're going to bust out both of the wiring diagrams that we found last night, get all set up, and then we'll kind of show you what we're going to do with pinning in the ECU here. How are you feeling about this?
Sure. I guess we'll just have to figure.
That's what I want to hear.
We'll just have to kind of see how it goes.
Well,
so
things have warranties.
Yeah, and well, not your harness when it catches on fire.
That's fine.
Or when your car burns to the ground.
You know.
Alright, so I want to extend these O2 sensor wires. Where are you mounting the ECU?
I can do that. I can make those wires longer.
So where are we mounting the ECU? Because that will tell me if I need to lengthen other wires and shorten others.
See, these are things. ECU is going to mount right on the wall right there.
Like the longest wire is here, and this is the shortest wire. So my plan was to just
go off the shortest wire, then that's plenty of length.
This is a ground wire for the NOx sensor. So yeah, this just needs to go to common ground.
So this is our plan of attack with this. Mikey and I are going to sit here and we have everything labeled. All the different sensors, grounds, powers, everything labeled. We have wiring diagrams for both the sensors and our ECU master's ECU, so we can figure out what needs to go where. And then we're going to slowly pin everything one by one. It's pretty simple and self-explanatory for the most part. Like this is going to be our main power for the ECU directly off our switch panel. So when we hit this switch right here, this receives power, sending power to our ECU. It's fused, it's on a relay, it's how it should be. Then once that sees power, these are all of its commands, signals. This is how it gets all of its information. So these need to be pinned in to their respective spots on this ECU here so that it can receive that information. All right, doing this in the car, probably not the best move. Now that we've established our mounting position and we know that this wire is going to be all we really need, we can do this outside of the car. And bam. Damn. So our main harness is pretty much done. I think there's 1 or 2 sensors still that would need to be ran through here. The ignition coil harness is finished as well. Like I said, I made my this extension harness that goes behind the firewall. That unplugs here and there. And then this is our like positive and negative. And then these are our signals. And then this is ignition coil to cylinder head ground. For last episode, we were talking about the rinsing and repeating of doing this wiring harness and doing all the different pins and kind of all that stuff. Well, it's been about 3 weeks, but it's in. Got our harness in. Now, mind you, this is not how we are going to leave it. We're obviously going to loom it a little bit better. We don't actually need this because all the ECU needs is a wideband. The only thing we have too short is this. Our coolant temp sensor needs to be extended just like a couple more inches. That's super easy. Take a little bit. Otherwise, I don't like this harness. I haven't loomed any of this yet, so it looks kind of trash. These haven't been mounted, and they look kind of trash. Don't worry, they're not going to stay there. I just want to make sure that this is going to work before I find a better place for these and make brackets and do all that other crap. Like, just need to make sure all this works. But otherwise, made a new bracket for my regulator, which I believe we went over last time. I threw this back on so I could like mount my intercooler and make sure my charge piping was all good. Had to get a different blow off valve off a DSM project from long past. And yeah, little stuff, again, stuff don't really care about filming, but we're making moves. So check it out what we got going on here. I got the man, the myth, the legend, Mike.
The meth?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The meth kid Mike. So he's getting the rest of the pins put together to actually plug the ECU in. I have switch power pretty much ready to go, as you can see, all wired in back here off this. Once I flip this switch back here, showed you guys all that crap before. So once he finishes that, we're gonna get it plugged in. My buddy William is on the way right now with a laptop because he runs ECU masters in his car. So we are going to get everything plugged in and just, make sure that it's seeing all the sensors and all that stuff. Obviously not gonna see coolant temp because we need to extend that harness a little bit, but all the other stuff we should be able to just like make sure it's all working. Apart from Supra news, we got parts coming for that. I know I've been saying that, but like Moroso is really backed up right now. Most of the parts world is really backed up right now with like supply chain issues, and just like lead times and shipping are ridiculous right now, but we're kind of doing our best to keep chugging along, which is fine because obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of shit going on. So I just actually got the crank back for that, so I'll get to start putting that G54B back together for this thing and throw that carburetor that we have on it, that Makuni. I don't know dick 50 about carburetors, so I'm excited to learn a little bit about that. This shit needs to get going. I got the FB RX-7 up at the shop finally. It's under this. I'm not gonna waste my time taking it out. You guys have seen it before. The 4G is in the engine room, and I still need to find a crank for this thing, but you know how all that goes. But because we're gonna yank that blue truck out pretty soon and get this red truck out pretty soon, and Jake and I are gonna start our little matching builds. I'm really excited for this. But let's get back to the Supra, finish pinning this in, and see if we can get some life out of this thing. So this is the part where I can jump back in and start doing a lot more filming here. So we are wired. ECU is in, our harness is in. We got a temporary ground situation here. Everything's wired in through here, switch power is good. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna get the car in the air. We're gonna throw the lower intercooler piping on. We're gonna put the oil cooler back in. We're gonna put all of the like lines on the car that have anything to do with oil so it doesn't leak anything. Throw some oil in it, make sure it cranks. We're gonna have our trigger set up, and then we're gonna make sure that it's firing properly, everything like that, and then hopefully maybe try to throw a base map on it real quick and start it. So let's get this thing up in the air. Voila. Quick ran some lines to it. Got everything set up through here. Obviously I'm gonna put some clamps on here and make sure that these lines are more appropriately sized when this is actually finished, but this will do for now and we won't spew oil everywhere. So that should be good. I can't think of anything else that we really need to do. The filter is new. So let's go ahead, get this charge piping on. Then we can put this ground together, throw some fuel in it. This is my return line for my fuel system, and that is way too long. So that is something that I'm gonna do before we go any farther here. Just kind of trim this. And then this is a barb fitting on this end where then it goes all my other and lines, the braided hose there. That will just slip into back here. We'll be good to go. Excited. We got our oil cooler in now. I'm missing a piece for the charge piping, but we don't necessarily need that at this moment. So everything is tight. We got clamps on everything. We should be good. Ready to throw some oil in this thing and hear it crank for the first time. We can validate that everything is wired up good there. And then maybe get it to fire. Who knows? We'll see where this takes us, but I'm excited. I'm gonna throw some good old SAE 1030 in there.
Just make sure that we have like wide open and we can look at the specs if we need to.
O'Reilly's.
That's what I've broken in all my motors on, to be honest.
Not even gonna go ahead and clean that out, just never eat.
We need the timing light, we need the wire on it, we need a USB cable.
I probably should.
Yeah, bud, you probably should. Got our wiring specialist there. Everybody meet Will.
Yeah, it's not too bad. You just have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I don't
You got
know.
Mikey, the grunt.
But we'll,
Yeah.
we'll see how this goes.
Lewd, crude, and unusual.
Cable for the battery located. I mean, we literally could just set up a battery right here.
Yeah, we
this
got a
one-
couple of them over there. You just like,
This
Although I don't think any of those are good. They're just gonna be get yeeted.
that's not. It may be a safe and legal thrill, gentlemen and ladies.
All right, number one is there,
You don't say.
and then literally just get power.
Straight from the alternator there, bud.
Well,
Kind of hard. Yeah, I suppose that works, see? Except for it's. Is it touching? It is not touching.
You can literally do it to the head of that board. Yeah, it works still.
Let's see how well it cranks real quick.
Oh, keep priming that oil pump, bud. Got specs and shit.
Yeah, specs that apparently we don't need, but not yet at least. This is mainly what we're doing right now is we're gonna try and learn the TPS. And so these are just the values that we will expect to see.
Can it see it? Can it see it?
Yeah. But yeah, so those are just the values that we should expect to see from the TPS. Should.
Because I guess Goldilocks up there is running the factory like TPS.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What are you talking shit about now?
Nothing. Just making fun of your golden locks, bud.
This is the exciting stuff, right? You know? You find issues, you repin.
And not have to.
Yeah, it kind of sucks actually. I kind of take back that exciting thing, but we're working on it. Just doing some troubleshooting, they're doing some talking, I'm doing some looking to try to find some of the last little bits and pieces to finish this charge piping, as you see right down there where that blue coupler is, it ends. I just need to make a little 45 to go up to the turbo, and then the charge piping's all together. Obviously need some clamps and stuff, but we're seeing most of these sensors on the computer, so most of it is correct. It does crank, we do have spark. Getting really excited though. It was really nice to hear it make a noise for the first time, so. But that is why William is here. William just did all of this on his car, and we'll actually go check that out right now while we're waiting for him to finish pinning that in. So like I said, yeah, William just finished this on his car. Check it out. So we got an older GS 300 here. It is a non-VVTi 2JZ NAT build. Dynoed at what, just under 500?
on a dyno that reads low, supposedly.
Well, as you guys know, dynos are a tool. We are just using it to measure gains, and I think there were some pretty good gains over stock here. But check it out.
I literally, that day I had an idea in my head and I didn't draw it up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, you know, get to it.
This is tight. This bulkhead connector.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, this thing is really fun. We had 4 jackasses in this car and it pulled pretty well. Including
Yeah.
this jackass.
Yeah, And I'm a 300-pound meat sack.
And that jackass was in the car too. He's the only one of us that's not a jackass, but...
Oh yeah, so we figured out the problem with the IAT.
What?
It's not wired in.
Oh!
Wired in. So,
Like Mikey says, ain't nothing to it but to do it. So let's take a break. Just kidding. We're gonna wire this in real quick. And the troubleshooting continues with the timing light. For some reason, like when we put this plug in it, we were able to get the timing light to give us a reading. With the plugs that I was running in the motor, we weren't. So we're switching back to this to see if we can get that to work. It seems weird, but if I gotta get a new set of plugs, I gotta get a new set of plugs. I actually think I have a fresh set of plugs for this thing. Cause yeah, we didn't even get a spark that time. I wonder if when we change that pin, if we knock something loose.
I doubt it.
No, I'm sure it's on the computer.
Oh.
Care to fire that coil?
Not the plug.
Not the plug. Okay, cool. Those were fairly new, so I would have been upset if it was. Well, cool. That's gonna do it for today. We're probably gonna tinker around on the computer a little bit more to get some more of this stuff figured out. See what we can do without some of this information that I still need. But obviously we're looking good. We have the front part back on the car, intercoolers in, oil coolers on. I literally just need to do power steering and some other little odds and ends, and we'll have the engine bay pretty much ready to go. And then drive shaft, toe link, control arm, some bushings, and brakes. We should be ready to get this thing sideways after it's broken in, so we'll see where this leads us. But until next time, you guys take it easy and stay beautiful.
Just one more time, just to make sure.
Got it, bud. She dead.
Shoot.